Hello, and welcome to another edition of the Ragamuffin Speaks. But we're going to do a special thing this time and talk about portfolio reviews, because this coming weekend is the London Super Comic Con, and I'll be doing portfolio reviews for Markosia. The details of when that is are in the programme, which I should have looked up before I started this, but whatever. I'll put them in the notes down there. Anyway, yeah, and also you can come to the Orang Utan Comics table and get your portfolio reviewed. So, having done quite a lot of portfolio reviews over the years at conventions, I thought it would be a good idea to do a little guide to what you should be doing in preparation for that. So, first things first, before you even come to the convention, it's a good idea to go through the list of exhibitors at the convention and look at who's going to be at the show. Look at the sorts of books that company puts out, familiarise yourself with what they're doing, see whether your work fits with what they do, at least have some sort of idea. I mean, generally, certainly working for a smaller publisher like Orang Utan Comics, we get a lot of people come to the table, they have no idea what we do, they have no idea what our books are. They just kind of come up and they show us our art, which is in no way the style of books that we do, and we're just like, okay, and so that's the first thing. Make a list of who you want to go and see and who you want to talk to. If you can find out the names of people, editors, and that's always a good idea. But yeah, do your research beforehand. Okay. Preparing your, what should you actually bring portfolio wise? This is where people go hugely wrong. Massively wrong. So often people hand over this huge portfolio of everything they've ever done, basically. You open it up to the front and they immediately, the first thing they say is, oh, don't look at that, that's terrible. Why are you putting stuff that you don't have confidence in and believe is your best work in your portfolio? I don't need to see, as an editor, everything you've ever done. I don't need to see your development from 5 years ago to now. All I need to know is where you're at now. And all you really need to bring, certainly if you're a penciler, what you need to bring is 5 or 6 pages of sequential art. That's it. If you bring the original pencils, that's great. That's all anybody needs to see. We don't need to see pin-ups. We don't need to see covers. We don't need to see sketches. We don't need to see thumbnails. We don't need to see anything other than that. We want to see, can you draw a comic? And in 5 to 6 pages, that's enough to tell me. Ideally, that 5 or 6 pages will tell one story. So we can see your storytelling abilities as well as your artistic abilities. There are plenty of people out there who can draw a great figure. Plenty of people. That's not what anybody is looking for. We're looking for people who can draw comics. If you're an inker, again, 5 or 6 pages. Show us the original pencils and the inks side by side. I can show you my inking portfolio here. Back when I used to tout around my inks, and you can see how it's laid out with the pencils and the inks side by side. And there are 5 or 6 pages in here of your very best work. And when I say your very best work, colorists, again, 5 or 6 pages. Doesn't necessarily have to be sequential when you're a colorist, because we're not looking at we're looking at how you work and what you can do color wise. Same with inkers. Ideally do towards sequential stuff though, because that's really what people are looking for. But yeah, when I say your best work, but do stuff specifically for your portfolio. I've heard people say before, no, I need to show what I can do in a professional capacity when I'm working to a deadline. Other people aren't doing that. Do your best work. If it's, when you're working to a deadline, when you're working an actual job, you probably are not going to spend as long on a page as you will when you're doing it for your portfolio. But you want to show yourself at your best. So that's what needs to be in your portfolio. Your 5 or 6 pages of your best sequential work. That's all. That's it. And you hand over your portfolio to whoever's reviewing it. This is the work you have the most confidence in. And when that person opens it, you do not make excuses for your work. That is the last thing anybody wants to hear, is the words out of the mouth. First thing that somebody is saying to you when they've handed you a portfolio is, "Oh, that's not too good and that's not great." Don't draw an editor's eye to the bits that you know are weak in your art. Let them find them themselves, and hopefully they won't see them. But yeah, that's a big one. So yeah, 5 or 6 pages. Go for 6 if you can. And they should all be comic pages. This is one thing people have said to me. Somebody asked on my Tumblr, how much should be comic pages, how much should be pin-ups. No pin-ups. Nobody cares about pin-ups. Nobody wants to see your pin-ups. Nobody makes a career as a pin-up artist or a cover artist. A couple of people do, maybe Adam Hughes, Alex Ross. Are you Adam Hughes or Alex Ross? If you are, then you're probably not going to need to tout around your portfolio at a show. You're probably already working for Marvel or DC. So, good on you. Attitude is incredibly important. One thing I really want to say is that a portfolio review is a review of your portfolio and not a job interview. That's not to say you need to approach it with the seriousness of a job interview, definitely, and the professionalism of a job interview. But so many people think that a portfolio review is going to result in them getting a job immediately. That's not what it's about at all. The main point of a portfolio review is for you to receive guidance and feedback on your work and where you need to improve to get to a point where you will be offered work. So that's the attitude you need to be going in. You want a professional's opinion on your work and where it is good and bad, because you know that your family and friends are not going to give you a wholly honest opinion. Okay? Do not argue with the person reviewing your portfolio. Do not tell them that they are wrong. You may be quite justified in thinking that they are wrong and believing that they are wrong and disagreeing with them, but it's a waste of everybody's time if you're going to argue with them. You can go away and talk to your friends and say, "Oh, they were so wrong," blah, blah, blah. That's great, but don't say it to their face, because this person's given up their time to review your portfolio. You've gone to them and asked them to do it, so presumably you value their opinion. So take it on the chin and be a man and go and cry later. Don't argue at the table. What is an editor looking for in your work then? I've said we're not interested in your pin-ups and your covers. There are four key main areas, certainly for pencilers. Inkers and colorists we could get into, and we won't though, because it's mainly dealing with pencils here. Anatomy. This is so important. Yes, comics are a stylized art form. Yes, things are exaggerated, but you need the basics. You need to know the rules before you can break them. That sounds like an obvious thing to say, but you need to know that. Perspective. Learn 3-point perspective. It's not hard. I mean, okay, John Byrne managed to get through his career only doing 2-point perspective, but you're not John Byrne. So learn perspective. It's really not that hard to get to grips with. Composition, however, is harder. That's a really key one. Composition and layout. The best way to learn that, get books on stuff and really look at comics. Really dissect what's going on. Don't just focus on the pretty. Look at why things are there. Look at where things are placed, how they're placed, how a page is put together, how your eye is being led around the page. And that leads into the fourth part, which is storytelling. Does your art tell a story without words? Can I follow the action? Can I see what's going on from panel to panel, from page to page, without the need for there to be text to explain it? I've seen some beautiful, beautiful artwork, some stunning artwork. That is just a series of individual pictures that don't tell a story. The really, really crucial thing is that your artwork tells a story. If you can crack anatomy, perspective, composition and storytelling all together in one thing, then you've got it. Definitely. What else can I say about portfolio reviews? There are two kinds. There are two kinds. There are the ones that like I'll be doing with Markosia, where it's an official portfolio review time, and you will queue up, and you'll go and you put your portfolio down, and we'll review your portfolio and we'll talk to you about it, and you know, we might give you a card. Oh, that's an important one. That's a really important one. In a lot of industries, when we say don't call us, we'll call you, and all that sort of stuff, in comics, when you get a portfolio reviewed, if somebody likes it, what they'll do is they'll give you their card and they'll say, you get in touch with me. You email me, because it's unlikely that we've got a script sitting there just waiting to be done and we're going to go, here, have the script, you do it, you draw us and send it back to me. That's not going to happen on the day. But what we want you to do is go home and then chase us up and say, hey, have you got anything? Here's an email of my new samples. Here's what's going on. Here's what I'm doing. You said you like my stuff. Here's the stuff. I'm really keen on working with you because I've done my research and I'm familiar with what you do and I really want to work with you. That's a good one. So you've got to follow up, because at a convention, I might come home and I've got a pocket full of business cards. In fact, I usually wear this. I have business cards in my pocket right now that I've got at a convention. And I get home and I take them out of my pocket, or I leave them in my pocket, obviously. I take them out of my pocket and I dump them somewhere and I forget about them. And certainly, if you've given me a card, I'll show you. I've got my card here. This is my card. If I gave you my card and you took it home and you pulled it out and you go, I can't remember what his artwork looked like. And even if I had a little sample of my artwork, I used to have that on my older cards. Even if you've got a little sample of your artwork on there, it doesn't really connect. But you remember who you are, and you can get in touch with me and send me some artwork, and I can remember then what I said to you at the convention, and if I liked your stuff, and if I liked your attitude. Don't expect any editor, any publisher to get back in touch with you after a portfolio review, even if they love your stuff. You need to get in touch with them. One of the biggest reasons for that is because they want to know if you're serious. If you're really serious about breaking in, if you're really serious about the work, if you're really serious about getting involved, or if you just want your ego massaged. Okay? So yeah, I was saying there's two different kinds of portfolio review. There's the one where you come and you give your portfolio, I'll give you some feedback, and you'll go away and cry, and that's great. There's the other kind, which is the more informal one, where you come up to my table at convention with your portfolio, and generally what happens is you will put your portfolio down on top of my comics that I'm trying to sell, and ask me to review your portfolio. Immediately I think you're a git. Don't do that. Hand the portfolio over. Don't just dump it. Don't dump your bag on my comics that I'm trying to sell either, because that's really annoying. And that one's more informal. Be aware. Don't block the table. Be aware that people are going to come and want to buy stuff and that, and be polite. And this one, I think people might take issue with. Buy something. If you're really keen on working with me or working with whoever's table it is you're at, and you really, really want that, it does ingratiate you a lot to those people. If you go, well, I'm really keen. This stuff's great, and you like my portfolio. That's great. I'm really keen. I'm going to check out what you're doing. I'm going to check out. I'm not going to be offended that you haven't read it already. Come on. But if you're keen, pick it up. Read it, and you might get even more enthused and want to work with me or whoever it is even more then, once you've read it. I'm not saying drop 10 quid on a trade paperback, but there might be a comic for £2. Pick it up. You can afford that. You know, and if you can't, then it's an investment in your career. You know, it's not hard and fast rule, but it's good. You know. I was just going to say, and this is one question that will bug people enormously at any portfolio review, is simply this one, and that is, so what are your page rates? Because, for one, that comes across as fucking arrogant. It's like, hey, my artwork's so good, I know you're going to pay me to draw your comics. Number two, it really, really shows an ignorance about how the comics industry works. The only place there are two places you're going to get a page rate. One is at one of the big publishers, like Marvel, DC, IDW, Dark Horse, blah. Two is in a vanity project, essentially. Is where the writer is going to pay to get everything done. If you find a writer or a company and you like what they do, and you're passionate about wanting to break into comics and make a name for yourself and really be a part of the industry, at a time where there is basically no money in the industry, let's be honest here, I'm still working damn hard every day to get to a point where I am making, in any way, shape or form, a reasonable living doing this. Then you've got to back that commitment up by, at least, if you want to get that first step on the road, first foot in the door, first rung on the ladder, you're probably going to have to work for free. That's a people are going to argue with me over that one. I know they are. I know there's lots of people who say you should never work for free, but I've done a lot of work for free. I don't anymore. Because as far as I'm concerned, I've got my foot in the door. I've made a name for myself. It might not be a huge name, but at least it's better than nothing. I think I've justified and proved to people that I can, do the work. I mean, that's a big one. That's another big thing I need to get across, is that good art is only one side of the story. And there are a lot of great artists out there, a lot of fantastic artists, and I've seen a lot of people comment online about certain artists and say, why does this person get work? Their art's terrible. Good art is one part of it. Attitude, commitment, the fact that you will see a project through to the end, the fact that you'll meet deadlines, all of these almost count more than good art. So long as, competent, as long as your art is competent and gets the job done, the fact that you see the project through, so the fact that you will be good to work with and pleasant to work with and not an arsehole, will count a lot more. And I know I've seen fantastic, amazing artists basically blow it through being a pain in the arse to work for and insisting on making lots of money. And of course you don't, because there's not the money there. Not until you've made a name for yourself. And it's, you can get through and make a good living at it, but not at this level, not at starting out level. And a lot of people liken it to the music industry. You don't play Wembley Stadium your first gig. Your first gig you might even have to pay to play, but nobody's gonna expect you to pay to draw a comic. But yeah, I've been there in the music industry, and I've never been paid to play music. So don't expect, in the creative industries, you don't expect to immediately be there and being paid. These are things to bear in mind for portfolio reviews, obviously. I think I'm going to wrap it up because I'm about to hit 20 minutes, and that's a bit long anyway. But if you've got any more questions, please don't hesitate to ask, and I will answer them either here or on my blog or wherever. So see you at the convention, and hopefully have a great portfolio review.